within 2 to 5 hours of the Low Country by writing hundreds of travel articles and columns for a radio travel feature, and made dozens of travel presentations for Ochsner Lifelong Learning Institute. She also arranges one-day and overnight motor coach trips to visit these special destinations. And that was just my little dog saying he agrees. She will take us places we may not explore on our own. Davis is adamant that if she asks people to leave this area, even for one day, it must be a worthwhile experience. And who better to tell us about this than Scottie herself. So here is Scottie, and thank you.
So go ahead and record.
It is recording.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Scottie, it's all yours. And can you do your share screen? Okay, you're muted right now, Scottie.
Okay.
Yes, now we hear you.
All right, everybody, let's go here.
So go ahead and get your slideshow up and click on slideshow and then from the beginning. Right there.
Right.
Okay, now from the beginning. It's thinking.
Okay. Now we are.
Try that again. Try that again, Scottie, because we don't have your slides yet. In full screen. Try hitting from the beginning again.
What if we do a full screen?
We still don't have it. It hasn't popped into the full screen for the slide. So I think you need to touch the from the beginning again on the toolbar that's up there at the top. Okay, now, oops. We're seeing your presenter view because
that is correct. That's exactly where we are.
No, but that's not where you want to be. You need to go back out of that and start and get the slide big for everybody else and then go to your presenter view. But you got to get it big for everybody else before you go to that. So go ahead and say end slideshow up there. Or
I have two choices. I can end the only thing is to end the slideshow.
Yeah, or go back down to the bottom on your presenter where you found presenter view. No, not there. It was the 3 dots on your slide on the lower left, and click on presenter view again. Okay. Are you on an iPad or a Windows?
I have Windows and I'm on a, yes, I have Windows.
Okay, so it should be in the lower left. You should get 3 dots that come up on, do you see them down there?
The lower left? No, I do
Lower
not.
left, okay, and maybe choose that one. Okay. And then you do the back arrow.
Good Lord.
Sorry, folks, we'll get this going. And, oh gosh. Yes, try there. The 3 dots, right, that you had, right, under insider tips. No, up higher. No, go back on that one. Okay, move over on your icons right there and see the 3 dots. Okay,
Yes.
and choose hide presenter view. Choose that one. Okay. Okay, now it looks like we have the full screen. So you might be able to go in now at the bottom of your screen and click on presenter view. Maybe on the 3 dots. Go over to your 3 dots.
All right.
Well, click on presenter view, but I think we're going to get the same screen because I don't think it ever went into full screen before.
So tell
Right
me
there.
something. Can you see any of this?
Yes, I can see what's coming up on your screen, which is why I don't think it's gonna, I think we're just gonna get the small one. Okay, right here, go to from the beginning. Up there in the upper left on your screen. Slideshow from beginning.
There is, hang on.
Okay, just in the white bar there, the very first thing from the beginning. No, it didn't do it.
No, it did not.
If you want, what will happen if you do it this way is we'll see all your notes.
I have no notes.
You have no notes. Okay, well, they'll just be smaller pictures then. So you can go ahead and do it then.
Sherry, why don't we just then go back to the regular view that she had? If she doesn't need to look at her notes, she can click on the 3 and hide the presenter view. And,
oh, that's true.
And then we should be good.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Click on hide the 3 dots again and hide the presenter view. Right there. And now hide it. Okay. Click on that. And now we've got a big screen of your slide.
Right.
So go ahead.
Right.
You just won't see your notes if you had any written.
I have no notes. I'm ready to go.
Okay,
All right.
go for it.
Thank goodness. Like Ed Rainey, I am ready to get out of town, just like all of you are, and start exploring the area around us. So today I have chosen the things and the places that I want to go as soon as we can start taking some trips. And I want you to grab a piece of paper, a pencil, and if you have questions, save them until for the end, and then I'll be glad to answer them afterwards. On each one of these slides, there is a website on the first side so that you can take that down to find out more information about these places. We're going to begin with what I consider to be one of South Carolina's truly hidden gems, which is Brook Green Gardens in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina, between Georgetown and Myrtle Beach. Now, this is on Highway 17. It's about 3.5 hour drive from up 17 through Charleston, Georgetown, and then you will know that you are at Brook Green Gardens when you see this huge statue of stallions fighting. This will be on the left-hand side. The statue is by Anna Hyatt Huntington, who established Brook Green with her husband, Archer, who was a railroad and shipping magnate. And this was a place to put her sculpture along with pieces with their own private collection. Huntington Sculpture Garden is the center of Brook Green, and today there are over 2,000 beautiful pieces of outdoor sculpture that are surrounded by rooms of gardens of native plants. And in the spring, particularly in April and May, they are just outstanding. They are in many, many different mediums. You've got things that are in stone. You've got things that are basically in all sorts of bronze gilded. There are 4 different statues of Diana there. They're little things, they're big things, they're absolutely magnificent pieces, and they're fun things such as the Fountain of the Muses. And all of these rooms of gardens are really connected by wonderful paths, because this is property that sits on 4 rice plantations. So Huntington Beach State Park, so Huntington Gardens is really just the center of Brook Green, and it's a lot more. There are 9,000 acres here, and you've got a low country zoo. You have all sorts of historic sites. You've got creek and tracker excursions. You have 3 restaurants, and you have a wonderful area with picnic tables. So if you just go for the day, you can even take your own picnic with you. I suggest, if you haven't been there before, that you join one of the tours of the sculpture garden just to get an idea of what it's all about. A ticket will be honored for 7 consecutive days if you do decide that you want to hang around for a few days. And there are lots of special programs and lectures, so go to brookgreen.org before you go to see what's going on. I suggest, if you do want to hang around, that there is a Hampton Inn right at the beginning of Brook Green Gardens. It's truly a place that's majestic in the spring and really feeds all of the senses. My second insider tip for a spring road trip is Middleton Place. Now, this is on the Ashley River. It's about a 2-hour drive from Sun City. You, again, take 17, and then once you get to Ashley Road, about 20 minutes on this side of Charleston, then you hang a left and you will follow the signs to Middleton Place. Middleton Place, to me, is the epitome of the 18th and 19th century low country plantation, because it actually has it all. You have great beauty, you have elegance, and you have wonderful history of South Carolina families that were very, very important to the history of our state. Henry Middleton began creating these gardens in the 1700s. He worked with architects to create them in the same style as those in Europe and in England, so that there is something of beauty to see everywhere you look. Middleton was one of the premier gardens of the colonies, and as the Garden Club of America has said, that it is one of the most interesting gardens in our country. It's majestic in the spring, and the garden tours are at the top of the hour. Now, if you do decide to go in March, you could possibly take a camellia tour, because there are 100 different kinds of camellias in the Middleton Place Gardens. In addition to the gardens, you have the Middleton Place House, which is filled with incredible possessions and period pieces of 4 generations of the Middletons, beginning with Henry Middleton, who was president of the First Continental Congress. The museum's house was actually the guest quarters to begin with, and then renovated as a family residence after the original plantation home was burned. So you've got the gardens, you've got the Middleton House, and then you have got stable yards. In the stable yards, you have animals that would have been there in the 17 and 1800s. You have horses, you have sheep, and you have this gorgeous creature that's a water buffalo, probably the most handsome dude you'll ever see. They use the water buffaloes for rice, for the planting of rice. They're craftsmen throughout the stable yards that are demonstrating all of the different crafts that they used in the 17 and 1800s. There's metalworking and weaving and churning using the same tools that they would have at the time. And close by is Eliza's cabin. Eliza's cabin tells the story of those who were enslaved at Middleton Place. And they have done an incredible and very meticulously researched documentary having to do with those enslaved on Middleton Place. So that is something also that you will not want to miss. Then there are other things to do. You can take a carriage ride, or you can meet a new friend, as this gentleman has done. There is a restaurant at Middleton Place. The food is sort of so-so. So if you want to come and bring a picnic lunch and hang out on the grounds, you can certainly do that as well. Before you leave, though, do check out the garden shop, because they sell plants that were actually developed at Middleton Place, including their camellia plants. And you'll be very happy that you brought one of those camellia plants home. Middleton is only 20 minutes from downtown Charleston. Now, as I've said many times, you can go to Charleston 500 times and do something different every time you go. So today, I'm only going to zero in on two things I want you to be very aware of that take place in the spring that are so important to Charleston. The first is the Charleston Festival of Homes and Gardens, which takes place from March the 11th to April the 17th. This year, they're going to be doing it a little bit differently. You're not going to be able to go into the houses. You can go into the gardens, but they've also created a lot of wonderful new garden walks, history walks, gala music events. So check out the website and check out the calendar for this wonderful tour of homes and gardens that takes place in Charleston from March the 11th through April the 17th. The other thing that you must know about if you're going to be living in the Low Country is the Spoleto Festival. This year it will be held, and it will be May the 28th through June the 13th, when they will bring in international artisans from all over the world and cover everything from jazz and symphony to dance and opera and theater. And at the same time, there's a juried regional event called Piccolo Spoleto takes place, with events that take place in storefronts and in churches. Some of my favorite are gospel groups that do appear in the churches. But they never seem to get at their information about Piccolo Spoleto until early April. So you won't be able to know about those events until then. For both of these, whether you do go to the Tour of Homes or to Piccolo, one of the things that we must remember is that people from all over come to Charleston for these events. So you want to just park in one spot and walk everywhere. And I usually use the parking lot on Queen Street, which is behind the Mills House, because it is very centrally located. But just be sure that you take with you a very, very comfortable pair of walking shoes. We have one more spring fling in this area that I want to tell you about, because I think it's a great place, an important place to go during the spring, and that is the Charleston Tea Garden. Now, I'll probably call it the Charleston Tea Plantation because that's what it has been for so many years, but they just officially changed the name recently to the Charleston Tea Garden. To get to the Charleston Tea Garden, you again take 17, and then once you get to Main Road, which is the road that goes all the way to Kiowa, you hang a right, and then you go to Wadmalaw Island, which is Maybank Highway. Take a right, and then you will find the Charleston Tea Garden. The Charleston Tea Plantation is the only one in America. But you have to become in May. You do not want to go to the Charleston Tea garden before May, because you don't want to be there before harvest season starts. Harvest season starts in May, it usually ends sometime in the fall. It's a little bit too warm to be there after that, the middle of June. So probably May, when it first starts, is a great time to go. And take one of the tours into the tea fields, because you get to see this big green giant as it goes over the top of the tea leaves to do the harvesting. The reason tea does so well in this part of the country is because it is related to the camellia plant. And so therefore we do have the only tea plantation in America. In addition to be able to going into the fields, you take a tour of the processing plant, because the Bigelows, who have recently gotten involved with the tea plantation, do a narrative of exactly how tea becomes tea from the time it is harvested until it becomes the American classic tea that is created here. You can bring a picnic and you dine at the edge of the tea fields under all the oaks. It makes it a very, very special place. So these are some of the places that I think are so incredibly wonderful to visit. You have Brook Green, you have Middleton Place, you have the Charleston Tea Plantation, and all of these are really great to visit until about the second week in June. And then it gets just a little bit too hot to be going there. And so those are the things that we want to do, but we also know that once things let up, that all of our friends and all of our family are going to come or call in and come visiting because of the wonderful place in which we live. And so where are you going to take them to be able to say, well, these are the places that are close by that we want you to see? So I have chosen the one place that I think is the most important place that you can take either family with children or adults. And that happens to be only 2 hours away down I-95 at exit 29, and that is Jekyll Island, Georgia. Now, from Brunswick, you have 3 other islands that are considered the Golden Isles, but Jekyll to me is the perfect place to take guests that come visiting. If you have your grandchildren in tow, and probably most of us have them at some time during the summertime, this is ideal on the ocean side because there is everything to do, from the water parks to the beach to putt-putt, and you've got great biking trails. They have wonderful places to stay on the ocean, everything from the Days Inn to the Westin. So you've got so many choices. So the ocean side is just incredible if you have grandchildren in tow. Now, if you have other adults in tow that are interested maybe in other things, you really want to visit the Intercoastal, because here you find Jekyll's Gilded Age comes to life, with a tour in the tales of bygone days when Jekyll was the winter playground for the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the Goulds, the Cranes, J.P. Morgan. There's a tour called the Landmark Tour. It takes 90 minutes, it's a trolley tour, and they do a wonderful job of telling all the history and the tales of what's going on. There are actually 33 buildings in this 240-acre historic district. So it's a great place to go, just stroll, because one by one, they have restored a lot of these cottages that were built during the time when you had the Gilded Age of the Jekyll Island Club. The Jekyll Island Club, which was built and now restored beautifully by all of these members. You can actually stay there. And then if you want a great place for Sunday brunch, take your friends to the dining room of the Jekyll Island Club. The food, generally speaking, during the week, so-so, but Sunday brunch is absolutely wonderful, and it's just a great place to go. Through the parking lot of the Jekyll Island Club is the Georgia Sea Turtle Center, where not only do you have great exhibits of what the turtles are and what they do and their habitats and so on, but they have a hospital where they take care of injured and loggerhead turtles and sick turtles. Did you know that turtles get constipation? That's one of the major things they have to deal with. There's a young staff that really does a great job of taking care of the turtles. They all have their beds, as you can see, and they have charts and they have names, and they will tell you all about these wonderful sea creatures. So this is a place that I think that it is fantastic just to take any of your guests that come a-calling. And again, I'm sure once things begin to lighten up, you'll have a lot of people that'll be coming to see you. The end of June is a place that I always head, just simply because I find it just absolutely breathtaking to me. And that is up in Brevard, North Carolina, because it's the land of the waterfalls. You have 100 different waterfalls in Pisgah National Forest, DuPont National Forest, and it's a lot of incredible nature. And then the end of June, in which we will be doing this, we do this every year, we go up for the Brevard Music Center. And Keith Lockhart is the artistic director. He brings a lot of his buddies in to perform at the Brevard Music Center. And then you've got all of these talented young people that perform as well. And it really is just a incredible time to be in North Carolina. And we will certainly find out very shortly, hopefully, what their schedule will be for this year. And we'll let you know, because it's an annual trip that generally we do with the travel club every year. And FYI, I'll be putting the trips, we have another travel club trip the end of April, which has to do with the islands of Georgia, and all of that new information will be on my website very, very soon. I've been spending my time during the pandemic for fun writing a little book. I've been talking about it for years, having to do with all these wonderful trips that I think that you would enjoy taking. And so hopefully that's going to be out in June, and I'll let y'all know about that then. But these are the places that I think are just so special to visit in the spring and the early summer. I hope that you will just enjoy them as well. And if you have questions, I'm ready to try to take some of those. I look forward to seeing all of you. I've missed my Sun City friends, so I look forward to seeing all of you, hopefully very soon. Okay, so now do I stop sharing?
Yes, you can stop sharing, and then people can see a bigger picture of you.
Okay.
Okay, we still see your slides, so I think it's still sharing. Okay, now.
All right.
Okay. So now let's go ahead, and if you have questions for Scottie, please unmute yourself by holding down your space bar or just clicking on the mute button to unmute yourself, and you can ask them. And for those of you who don't have a microphone in your computer, you can also type a question in into the chat area. And we do have one question there. It is, where do you park for the Spoleto Festival?
There are parking lots all over Charleston, as many of you know. And I just happen to say that my favorite place to park is on Queen Street, which is right behind the Mills House. The Mills House is on the corner of Queen Street, and it's a great big pink building. There's a parking lot behind there. But the main thing is to park in one place, put on your shoes, and then just walk, because you don't want to be trying to change parking places in Charleston.
It's happening everywhere. So.
And Scottie, another question is, what is your website address?
The website is Scottie Davis, SCOTTIE DAVIS SCHH.com, and that brings up weekend getaways on a tank of gas. I can't type that in, so I certainly can't expect anybody else to. So it's ScottieDavis.com.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Scotty,
Yes, what's your opinion about the aquarium up in Charleston?
The aquarium is wonderful. It is a great place to go. And I love the way they have done taking it from the up country to the low country. And yes, they have done a beautiful job of the aquarium.
Scotty, are
Like-
you going to have trips for these places?
I haven't really thought about that. I know that we will be doing the trip to Brevard because we always do. And there is a trip that is a travel club trip. It's the end of April to 4 islands in 3 days, which means that we will be staying on Jekyll. We'll be going to St. Simon. We'll be going to Cumberland, and we'll also be going to Sapelo. And it's a great way to get to know some of the islands of Georgia by doing that 4 islands in 3 days trip. I had not planned a trip to Brook Green this spring. I probably will next spring. I happen to love that place. And Charleston Tea Plantation is a great place to go, of course, in May.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
I have a question. This is Anne Marie Hosey. I have a question for the Charleston Tea Garden. Are you able to see it relatively easy on a motorized scooter and not walk it?
The Charleston Tea Gardens, you basically, what you want to do is if you could possibly, you don't really walk the Charleston Tea Gardens. There is a trolley tour that goes out into the fields if you are able to get onto the trolley tour. And then as far as taking a tour of the plant, it's really a very short tour. So I think you can do fine with that. So,
Okay.
so yes.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Another question you have from the chat is, do you fill all the seats on the bus?
Oh, absolutely not. Now, I have not done any trips, obviously, this whole year, and I've just been waiting to figure out what's going to be the best thing for all of us. On the first trip I'll probably be doing will be in the one having to do with the 4 islands, and right now I'm saying we'll just fill half the seats on the bus. Just simply because that just makes the most sense. We're gonna, and that's, so the answer is no, we're not gonna be filling all the seats in a bus.
Other
Scottie,
questions? Yes.
Scottie, are you
Ed?
going to do Biltmore again this year?
Absolutely, Ed, and I just, because we had to cancel it for last year, but we definitely will be doing it. In fact, as I've already been talking to them, I think it's the 6th and 7th of December. It's the same trip we always do. But don't hold me to that.
It'd be a snowy visit.
My remembering is not so great, but yes, we are definitely doing Biltmore this year, and really look forward to that. We've certainly missed not being able to do it this past year.
Other questions?
I have one. Yeah, Scottie, do you happen to know what the season is at Jekyll Island? Obviously, the water slide, that park probably, when does that open? Early May or?
Yes, it opens in May. And the season, it's really all year long because Jekyll is really a tourist destination. Jekyll is owned by the state of Georgia. And so therefore it's really, that is sort of the emphasis of Jekyll. And as far as the other part, the Jekyll Island Club in that area, it's all year as well. Now it gets a little warm in the summertime. In July, possibly you may not want to go there, but otherwise, you know, Jekyll is just good for all year.
I'm thinking of going now. I mean, like February, March. Would the historic district be open to go in and?
Oh yeah. The historic district is open. Yeah, it is
Okay,
definitely. And if you don't want to be taking a trolley tour, just go park and just walk because it's 240 acres. There are a lot of pretty houses to see. magnificent, magnificent trees. You may even see one of the brides being photographed there, because a lot of brides come down there. It's just so, so beautiful.
Great, thank you.
Other questions?
How long does it take to get to Jekyll Island?
How long does it take to get to Jekyll?
Yes.
It takes about 2 hours. What you do is you go and that's what makes it so easy. You go I-95 till you get to Brunswick, and then you take exit 29 and go over a causeway to Jekyll. Now there is a $8 fee, parking fee on Jekyll, but that's okay. And you can actually, I think I believe you can pay it ahead of time before you go, or just pay it when you get there. But you go I-95 to exit 29, and then over a causeway to Jekyll. And it takes about 2 hours from Sun City.
I have another question, or sort of a comment. My husband and I just went last weekend to Charleston, and we found this place called the Caw Interpretive Center.
Mm-hmm.
You're familiar with that? It was not quite into Charleston, about 14 miles short, but the interpretive center was open. We were the only ones in there, and there was fantastic walking through these former rice fields. Nice, broad, well-trodden, lanes. And there are very few people there at all. And if you really just want to go on it, it would be about an hour and 20 minutes from here. And you could just go and walk and come back, and eat somewhere. And it's a nice day trip.
Oh, good for you. And there's just so many wonderful places around. I started exploring when I moved here in 1984, ended up making a career out of writing about things and talking about them. I'm so proud of you, because there's just so much to see and so much to do. So just keep exploring. That's wonderful.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Any other questions? Well, hearing none, thank you so much, Scottie, and I'm so